common saying in the law is that possession is 9/10 of the law. And guess what? That common saying is right. Today, I want to talk to you about constructive possession. What is constructive possession? Probably sounds to you like something that the construction workers down on the corner of your block are doing while they're tearing up the asphalt and putting in new pipelines. You know, constructively possessing. Who knows? Okay, but no. What constructive possession is a legal theory that allows the criminal law and the prosecution to hold people responsible for items or things that aren't found on their body or person. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Joe Pometto, Joe the Lawyer. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It's a free way to support this show. It lets YouTube know you are watching, and that benefits me. So I do a lot of criminal defense, and I will get clients who will do a consult with me and sit down, and I will talk with them, and they will say, Joe, I'm charged with this gun. I'm charged with these drugs. I'm charged with this paraphernalia, this scale. Okay, but it wasn't on me. They didn't find it on me. The police didn't find it on me, Joe. How can they charge me with something that's not on my person? Well, you should know. The law is trickier than that, right? The law is going to find a way to charge people. And the theory they use is called constructive possession. I'll give you a few definitions under Pennsylvania law. Okay, if a person has knowledge and access to an item, they can be charged with constructive possession of that item. If a person has the power to control that item and the intent to exercise that control, the person can be charged with possession of that item. So, as I'm sure most of you know, a lot of narcotics and drugs in this country are illegal. So simply possessing cocaine is a crime. Simply possessing heroin is a crime. Simply possessing a firearm, if you have a prior felony or a prior crime that doesn't allow you to possess a firearm, can and will be a crime. But you know, the police aren't always going to catch the person with the drugs or the gun or the stolen contraband. We could be on their actual person. So they use this theory of constructive possession. Now, you may say to me, Joe, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I agree. In some instances, it doesn't make sense. But let's play something out in our mind. Let's say, you have a house. I'm sure most of you live in a house, I hope, or an apartment, or a tent, or something. Okay, we'll stick with the house. And in that house, you have a safe. And in that safe, you keep maybe some of your bills, your birth certificate, cash, gold, valuable items, all right? You put those items in that safe, and those items sit in that safe, who knows, forever. Well, just because those items aren't in your pocket at all times, you wake up in the morning, you go to work, you go on vacation, you're out of town for a month, those are still your items. Those are still your items. And you would, under the theory of constructive possession, have the power to control and the intent to control those items. So it wouldn't make sense to say that those are not your items. It wouldn't make sense to say that. That's why constructive possession can be used. If you had drugs in that safe, if you had contraband in that safe, you could be charged with possession of those items even though they weren't found on your person. And this happens, ladies and gentlemen, all the time in the law. It happens all the time. Let me give you a few examples where it's used and also a few examples where it can be weird and where I agree that problems arise with the theory of constructive possession. Okay, let's take, for example, let's say there's a person, we might call him an illegal entrepreneur, all right, a drug dealer who's selling drugs, etc. From let's say from their house. However, they keep all of the contraband in their car out in the back of the garage or parked out in the alleyway. Okay, so when the police come, let's say they get an anonymous tip or they get a tip, a confidential, they come and they search the house, they find nothing, but the person is in the house. But then they get a search warrant, they search the car, and they find drugs in the car, okay? They can charge the person in the house possibly with constructive possession. Now, they can't just do it out of nowhere. They need to build their case. They need facts to back up that theory. So, for instance, they may look at the title of the vehicle. If the title of the vehicle is in the name John Smith and John Smith is sitting in that house, okay, that's one fact to back up their constructive possession theory. The drugs are in the car. Number two, let's say not only they look in the glove compartment and all the insurance and paperwork for the car is in the name of John Smith. Okay, boom. There's another fact that would support the theory that John Smith, who was in the house, was in constructive possession of the items in the car. Let's say they have a witness who says John Smith drives that car every day. He goes everywhere in it, all right? He goes to work a couple hours a day, but he's driving all around. Boom, okay? Those are three facts to support their theory of constructive possession. A case like that will go to a jury and they may possibly convict John Smith. Now, let's talk about some little murkier situations, all right? Let's say the police come into a house and there's 5 or 6 people standing in a living room, and on the living room table is a big old bag of drugs or multiple bags of drugs and let's say a scale and paper or plastic baggies so they can split it all up, all right? But there's 5 people standing around the room. What happens? Yeah, the police will charge everybody. They'll charge everybody in that room. All right. And it doesn't mean that charge is going to hold up, but on the theory of constructive possession, they can probably get that case into court. Now, they'll likely need to build some more facts to make a case like that stick, right? Who owned the house? Who actually lived in the house? Whose name was on the lease? Who was frequently seen at the house? All right. There might have been a next door neighbor who came into the house to borrow milk and sugar, and he's standing in there when the police come in. Well, he might be in for some crap, okay? He may be in for some crap. So, but he would probably ultimately, hopefully, he would beat the case. So that's how constructive possession works. But you can see how it gets murky there, right? The police will they'll throw out a fishing net. And then they'll gobble up whatever it is comes in the net. It's like if you go fishing for tuna and you throw the net out and you get tuna, but a swordfish gets caught in the net. Well, they didn't intend to get that swordfish, but the poor swordfish got caught in the net. Okay, so it's dangerous. And the prosecution and the police need to be careful about who they're actually charging. Okay, so that they're not scooping up innocent people in this sort of drag net. I'll give you another weird situation. Let's say two people, one gun. 2 people, 1 gun. So 2 people are in a car. One person's driving, one's sitting in the passenger seat, and there is a gun. Let's say there's a firearm, an illegal firearm, and it'll be illegal because the serial number was obliterated, sitting there in the middle console. Okay, the police pull them over. They pull you over. These people over. They see the gun in the middle of the console. They charge both people. Whose gun was it? Both could be charged and possibly convicted with constructive possession of that illegal firearm. All right? It's going to be up to the defense attorney and the defendant themselves to properly acquit themselves at the trial to get out of the case. Okay? But that's where it's murky because, the gun probably only belonged to one of them. But both people had knowledge and access, right? That's one of the definitions of constructive possession. Both people had knowledge and access of the gun, okay? There's another definition, power to control and intent to exercise control. Well, you can fight it on that. You can say, look, the driver never had the intent to control that gun. And look, only the fingerprints of the passenger, only the DNA of the passenger is on the gun. So that is a way to defeat those types of cases. But constructive possession, in some instances it is BS, but in other instances it also makes sense, because just because something isn't on your person doesn't mean you don't have knowledge and access to it, and shouldn't be responsible for it, right? Because if you didn't have constructive possession, then the police could break into houses and find 50 ounces of cocaine under a floorboard, and they wouldn't be able to charge anybody with the crime. Now, I'm not saying that they should be able to just charge people out of nowhere. They need to provide those facts, like I told you in the vehicle scenario. But it does make sense under the law that this theory exists. And that floorboard, you know what popped into my head? Training Day. I love that movie. Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke. Great freaking movie. Training Day is awesome. In fact, I might watch it to end my night. So thank you for tuning in to Joe the Lawyer. I hope you enjoyed my explanation of constructive possession, how possession is 9/10 of the law. That's true. You can be charged with things even are not on your body. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you for tuning in. Peace out.